I'm Jayson Jorgensen. It is time for another edition of Huskerchat. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. As always, we're joined by the publisher of HuskerOnline, Sean Callahan. Sean, you were out in Boulder last week. Things certainly did not go Nebraska's way. Overall, what was your take of the atmosphere? It looked like there were plenty of Husker fans that found their way in there. Unfortunately, they did not see the game they were hoping to see.
Yeah, it's still a rivalry. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the way Nebraska was treated and the number of usages of the F word in that stadium. I don't know if I've seen an intense fan base like that towards Nebraska in a long time. And I've had many Husker fans tell me their stories out there. So it wasn't exactly a homecoming welcome for Nebraska to Boulder, but it was a strange game. I mean, you go back to the second quarter with about 5 minutes remaining before halftime, it really felt like Nebraska had grasped control of the game. Their defense was playing well. They had forced multiple 3-and-out stops. Their offensive line was taking hold of things. And I'm like, gosh, they're going to possibly be at 20-10 in time of possession to go into halftime. Like, this is exactly the kind of game Matt Rhule wanted. Then the turnovers happened, the fumble, the pick. I mean, you just can't do that. But then Nebraska overcame that and got it to 13-7. And that's 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter. And once again, the turnovers happen again. And this time the turnovers were deeper in Nebraska's territory, which made it a lot easier for Colorado to penalize Nebraska for those 4 turnovers.
Let's talk about the offense. We all knew it would be a work in progress, but overall through 2 games, are you surprised with the struggles they have had and how poorly that Jeff Sims has played?
I am. I expected him to be a little bit more seasoned. It just seems like he's trying to do too much, trying to put too much on his plate, force things in there. And, things like instead of jumping on a fumble and living to survive another day, he's trying to pick it up and make a play still. And that costs Nebraska. I mean, they lead the country in turnovers, Jason. It's just not an acceptable stat for a place like Nebraska. And it's not like they're doing a lot of zone read, ball handling things. And like we had seen, I mean, Nebraska has the largest turnover margin over the last 20 years in college football for all Power 5 teams by a wide margin. Turnovers have plagued this program for a long time, but some of it was the nature of the ball handling offense when you're doing the constant zone read, pull out, pull in. It led to a lot of turnovers. But this is a situation where, a lot of these can be prevented. I mean, the ball's being snapped into a man in motion. It's just being dropped by the quarterback on a handoff exchange, not a zone read, a handoff exchange. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened over these first 2 games that are definitely correctable, but extremely frustrating.
Can you see a scenario, and I know I'm asking you to kind of look forward here, but can you see a scenario if this were to continue that they might have to make a change and give Purdy or Harburg a look?
Maybe. I still think the athletic ability of Sims is superior. And that 57-yard run that he had, that's why he's the guy. I mean, you take away his 100 yards rushing at Minnesota and that touchdown run, who knows where this offense is. So for the mistakes he's made, the plays he makes still are pretty valuable to what they're doing. They just got to eliminate the mistakes. And I just think it's quite a drop off when you go in there and ask those guys. And sometimes I know it's easy as a fan to say, oh, just go to the next guy, go to the next guy. But I really get the sense they're going to keep trying to get Jeff Sims ready. These next 2 weeks are big, but will he play this week is the question. We really won't know that until the week's end.
Today on Huskerchat, we're joined by Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline. Sean, okay, we've talked about the offense. That hasn't been so good, but some promising things on defense. We're seeing some guys step up, and at this point, Nebraska leads the country in sacks.
Yeah, Nebraska tied with Tennessee with 12 sacks, 8 sacks in that game on Saturday. That was the most sacks Nebraska's had in a game since the 2018 Colorado game. So it was a very, very good performance. Guys like Cameron Lenhart have really been a surprise in what they've brought. Even Mekhi Bayer, the freshman linebacker, he was a pleasant surprise the way he played in that game. Tony White has done an outstanding job getting this unit ready, and they're playing a ton of young players. I mean, there was 4 freshman defensive linemen, a true sophomore junior college lineman in Kai Whalen that saw the field. So they've been able to get a lot of these newcomers and young guys on defense, legitimate reps, and that is going to pay off big in the end.
Will Husker Nation be patient? Coach Rhule said, "Hey, you knew what you were getting with me when I was at Temple and Baylor. It took a while." How do you gauge the fan base right now after the first 2 games?
Well, naturally, there's just so much interest in Nebraska football. But, they're they're gonna be patient because there's $72 million in reasons why. I mean, Matt Rhule is making a lot of money from Nebraska to build this his way, the right way. And, you look at his pay and the length of this contract, it is not a short-term deal by any means. I mean, it is an 8-year contract that gives him ample time to do things the right way. And so Nebraska fans have to be patient because Nebraska has said, we're going to be patient with you, Matt Rhule. And there's a lot of money behind him to get this thing done.
About this week against Northern Illinois, Nebraska's opened up about a 13-point favorite. What's your read on this game Saturday night?
Well, the Northern Illinois Huskies are going to test Nebraska with the defensive line. Cade Hopperman from Omaha West Side is one of their better D linemen they have. And, he's going to be motivated to play in this game. He was a former heavyweight Class A state champion wrestler as well. They beat Boston College on the road. They lost the rivalry game to Southern Illinois this last week. So they're up and down, but we know this is a quality program. Thomas Hammock's been there for a while. They have won in Memorial Stadium before too. So there is some history with the Huskies when they came in here and won. And Matt Rhule has said that to these guys. And I know Nebraska can't take anybody for granted. They've got to treat them all the same right now because they're just not in a position where they can just show up and beat anybody right now.
That's very true. And when you're not scoring, even it doesn't matter how well your defense plays. If you're not scoring, anybody you play is going to be in the game with you.
Yeah, points matter, finishing drives matter, and Nebraska's been poor in the red zone. I mean, they've had so many penalties and mistakes. They've missed some field goal. They missed a field goal last week. They've got to take advantage of the red zone more and finish off points. I mean, 24 points, Jason, in 2 weeks, and 7 of those came kind of in more mop-up duty. And, I'd like to see the defense force a few more turnovers. I mean, that's the one knock. They forced 2. One was late last week, and then the one Omar Brown pick. Nebraska's given up 8 balls, but they've only forced 2. So you would like to see, on the flip side, Nebraska, force a couple of turnovers in this game on Saturday.
All right, Sean, as always, we appreciate your insights, and hopefully we see a win on Saturday night at Memorial Stadium.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
You bet. That was Sean Callahan, the publisher of HuskerOnline, joining us for Huskerchat. We're here every week, and it's brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jayson Jorgensen.